back to the Sons of Montezuma film room. It's MatteoSanDiego, and I'm here live again with Coach C, Coach Carrasco. How you doing? Welcome back, man.
Welcome back. It's good to be back, and fired up with another Aztec win.
Well, it's October now. The Aztecs are 5-0. They are officially the only undefeated team on the West Coast, from the West Coast, and the only top 25 team out of California, which is hard to believe if you could believe it, but it's true. So 5-0, they just coming off a big victory over New Mexico, the Lobos, and we got to see our old coach Rocky Long, Danny Gonzalez. But now we got San Jose State. Last year it proved to be a big deal because they wanted to win the conference, the Mountain West Conference. And so this year we're looking to get a little bit of revenge. So let's go ahead and dive in.
2, 3. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and look at a play from last year and really the importance of finishing off drives. And when you're playing a good team, obviously you got to make sure that every time you're in the red zone and you're visiting that area, the green area is what some squads would call it, you got to come away with 7 points. You just got to do it. You can't play around. And in this situation here, it's 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're really put ourselves in a hole when we shouldn't have been due to turnovers, been little mistakes, and we're down by 4. And we shouldn't be in this situation, but we are. And that's football. You're going to find yourself in that position. And that's okay. You just got to make sure you just continue to execute and out-execute. And in order for you to do that as a team, it has to be from the team. It has to be everybody doing their job. And you can see it's a 3rd and 14. We're down by 4. You can't blame San Diego State saying, we got to go for the end zone here. You're already in field goal range. It's just that when you're going for the end zone, you got to make sure that your decisions are smart. You don't want to throw in traffic and whatever else. And the play design here by the OC and the decision by the quarterback here is really not a bad decision at all. It's a well-designed play. Kind of got your quarter halves look. And what that means for the novice, if you will, that really doesn't understand what a quarter halves look is that this DB here, he basically is going to cover this flat here, and he's really going to rely on this safety to cover this deep half. And then you got this guy covering a quarter, and you got this guy covering a quarter is what you have. So it's giving the impression here that it's a quarter halves look to the quarterback. All right. And it makes sense because this is a bunch formation by San Diego State, but they already know, hey, they got to throw the ball. If they're going to run the ball, we should be able to handle it. And they're playing it a soft look here. Now, doesn't mean they're going to stay in that quarter halves, but the point, it's the play that the coach called for San Diego State. It's a great coverage that we want. And the reason for that, this number 3 guy on the outside of this bunch, he's going to go ahead and run himself a fade. And if I'm seeing as an OC that we got a quarter halves look, that's exactly the route that's perfect for that coverage beater because it's going to really stretch this safety over the top and force him to cover that as he tries to extend him. Because these 2 gentlemen here, our number 2 receiver, which is a tight end, and our number 3 receiver, which I would call the F. All right, don't know what San Diego State calls them. They're going to run basically what I call a diagonal by our tight end, the Y. He's going to run a diagonal, and he really wants to cross this safety's face. Okay, especially if he's running a quarters look here. He got to know that, all right, he's got this area here, and so this tight end really wants to occupy him. Okay, whether he's open or not is not the point. His route, that diagonal route, really wants to occupy him. So with the number 1 receiver running this fade, really doing a job where he can stretch that safety out. Even if this corner is backing up, he'll get help, so to speak. And then with this diagonal by the tight end, getting him to occupy him, it really helps out the F as he's going to loop around and run a seam route. And what we used to call it when I was coaching, we call it a read. Either he's running a seam straight across, straight up the field, all right, or he's running a little slight bender where he's just going to get over the top of this linebacker right here. So with the diagonal occupying this safety, with the fade route occupying this safety, it really puts us in a great position to have this guy wide open. Now, that doesn't mean that the tight end's diagonal route isn't part of the progression. If he crosses his face and he's open, especially if this guy backpedals too much and you get in front of him, put that thing on a rope and put it on him, and you got yourself a chance where you're letting your fight song play itself because you just scored a touchdown. Now this DB, this guy's job, he's got to occupy him. He's got to get him cleared out. And with this look, it should be easy to do. And then you're just hoping the O-line can go ahead and give this quarterback a chance to make the read, and you go for it. So we're going to go ahead and play this here. And so you're going to go ahead and see that fade route. There he's going to come. He's going to really stretch this guy out, and you're going to see the safety basically. All right, he's going to read this number 2 package, but this guy's going to really stretch this out. He doesn't really get stretched out, but it's enough, and it doesn't have to be much because he just really wants to open up this guy as he gets over the top. But here comes that tight end running the diagonal route. Okay, and there he goes, and it does a good job where he looks like he's going to do what he's supposed to do. From this shot in the camera, even though we can't see the safety, that body language of that tight end looks like he's going to cross his face because the safety did what? He backpedaled to a point where he crosses his face. And you see here, Baker, the quarterback from last year in this previous game, he's making the correct read. He's reading body language. He's seeing a safety backpedaling. It's the number 1 read in the progression. Let me just put it over the top of this guy, and we got ourselves a nice play is what he does. All right. We also got a winner here because this safety, he's in no man's land, really. He's really in a bad position because he's really trying to cover too, because this guy is even and he's leaving. He's open as well. So Baker wanted to throw that here in the corner, probably get a score there. You're going to see this seam route, which turns into a bender, and all that's going to be open. But the number 1 read in the progression showed the signs, the solid signs that this thing is going to go for a score. And so the quarterback is already pulling the trigger. All right. And as he's pulling the trigger, unfortunately, our tight end decides to do that. And that is, he decides to go behind him. And it's an unfortunate error from the tight end because he really tricked his quarterback, and if he just cuts in front of him with the big body, you high point that thing and you score. But instead, the execution was not flawless, and we end up throwing a pick in the end zone in a very important part of the game. At the 6-minute mark, doesn't mean the game's over. Defense has still got to do its job. It still would have had to do its job if we would have scored a touchdown. But when you have opportunities like that part, and the coach makes a really great call on that 3rd and 14, and then the quarterback really made the right read. He made the right read, and everybody else kind of did their job. You just got a tight end that just kind of saw it a little bit different. And, it's something that the tight end coach, I'm sure, was the first thing he brought up to his tight end. It's like, man, you got to cross his face. There's nowhere you're going to go backpedaling and trying to go behind him because you're at the end zone, for crying out loud. And now that's even a tougher throw for the quarterback. And so, young men make young mistakes. And that right there, you just given San Jose State even more reason. And now remember, they were 2-0 at this time. So they still weren't even too sure, are we good enough yet? This was their first true test last year. But, it's little plays like that give them, that momentum. And it really makes, it just makes it where you get to a point where you're like, all right, now we got to climb up a steeper hill because we're going to have less time.